Welcome to an episode of Founder in the Chair. I'm your host, Fina, and today my guest is a very special lady. This lady is absolutely incredible. She is a transformational guide, an intuitive healer, and a spiritual mentor. This lady has dedicated her work to helping empaths, cycle breakers, change makers step into their divine power through deep healing and intuitive guidance with a background in occupational therapy and a mastery of various energy healing modalities. She bridges science and spirituality to create profound transformation. We'll be diving into her journey as to how she transitioned from healthcare to the work she does now. So she is on a mission to heal generational trauma. Like, imagine that. Who even thinks about healing that? So I am super excited to welcome Chintal. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I feel excited that I'm here. And yeah, I look forward to this incredible conversation that we're having today.
I'm so excited as well. I mean, some of the things you do, I know a lot of people will be like, well, what's that? How do you heal generational trauma, for example? So the first question I have for you, you have been on a very remarkable journey from working in the NHS.
Yep.
I know you also had another business.
Yes.
Chin's Kitchen, was it?
Yes, I had a business, Chin's Kitchen, which was an artisan baking business, which I ran very, very successfully for 4 years. And I used to supply to quite a few hotels around Heathrow, restaurants and hamper companies. And
oh, wow.
Yeah, so
I did not know that.
Yes. So that was, it was interesting because, obviously 20 years in healthcare, and then alongside that for 4 years, I was running that business, and then now doing what I do now.
Before we go into what you do now, so obviously when people close a business down or move on from it, it's scary, or you hold on to it for dear life.
Yes.
How did you do that transition? When did you know it was time to close Chin's Kitchen?
I knew it was time to close Chin's Kitchen. I always say, and I trust divine timing, and we'll go more into it, but literally just when COVID happened. Because I was still in healthcare, I was frontline, and it was crazy. It was manic. There was a lot going on, as everyone knows. And that prior to that year, I started to feel that I was here for a lot more.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, I don't know what that looks like, but I've got to trust that inner niggle. I've got to trust that voice that's coming. And so 2020 is when I actually then decided, yes, I've got to close that business. And that's when I actually shut that business.
So it was really successful though?
It was really successful. But, with a lot of hard work and a lot of sacrifices. And I think when people see success, they really don't look at what goes behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And I feel for me personally, that decision also came from a place of my health was sacrificed.
Right.
And I was like, wow. We'll go on to that a little bit more in a bit. But that's when I realized that, okay, the reason I started that business, because as a mom, you always want to be around your kids.
Yeah.
So you want to start a business, you want to be an entrepreneur, you want to start a business which runs around your family, but actually it was taking over.
Right.
And therefore I knew that this was not alignment for me.
That is so good that you recognised it, because sometimes we just burn ourselves out because extra income for the family, we can have better holidays or whatever. But that is so good. So you went from occupational therapy
Yes.
to what you do now. Please explain.
Yes. So I went from 20 years of working in healthcare, incredible journey, as an occupational therapy, which then, I'd advanced in all of my skills, even within occupational therapy. So just prior to leaving, I was actually working within the community setting in rapid response. So I was part doctor, part nurse, part, physio, part therapist, because you're managing critical and unwell patients, but in the community at home. And during that time, I started to get more and more curious, and I started to question why certain physical health issues were reoccurring in patients. And what that meant was you're obviously in an establishment which is quite a medically orientated world. And when you start to question and you're seeking those answers and you think, well, there must be more to this. There must be, but what is it? And through my own parallel to that time is when I was going through my own health issues as well. I did sadly go through burnout. So although I'd recognized that I needed to close that business, everything, I'd already, whilst running that business, I was going through burnout, which I wasn't aware of. But through my own journey of going through depression, not once, not twice, at least about 5 times, and then emotional burnout, overwhelm, health issues from chronic, gut issues and everything, I was like, okay, there has to be something, especially when you get told, well, all your bloods are okay. And I'm like, whoa, what's going on?
Yeah.
So my journey led me to my own discovery of, okay, I need to find out what's going on with me. Interestingly, I was away on holiday and my daughter was only 6 that time, and I actually collapsed. And as I collapsed, she was like, oh, mommy's dead. And I hadn't realized, because I was out of it for a while, I hadn't realized the impact it had on her. But the fear that she was riddled with thereafter, I was like, and it was then when I questioned, what am I here for? Who am I? Who even am I? What am I here for? Is this what life is about? That led me to my own journey of self-discovery, healing. And what I came to a realization was there was a lot of emotional healing that needed to be done, which was having an impact on my physical health.
Wow.
Through that is when I've always had faith. I've always believed in faith. Even as a young child, I've always had a connection. I've always connected with energy. I could feel people's energies, but I suppose when you're not, when others cannot see that or feel that, you're just kind of pushed to the side of, oh, okay, you're just, and what I then had realized was I was an empath. And over the years, even in the work that I did in healthcare, the pride that I took in looking after my patients and wanting to get the best treatment and care for them was coming from that place of the deep care that I had within me. So when I went on the journey of discovering my own self and what's going on with me, I realized that, yes, all these emotional, and it was suppression. I couldn't speak what I wanted to speak. And everything was just, it's like slotting into space. And like I said, that time I was like, right, God, I'm ready. I'm ready for you to guide me, bring to me or lead me to mentors or teachers who are going to guide me on this path. But I want to be guided by those who are walking this path, not just showing the way, but actually knowing the way and going the way as well. And that was something that I've actually taken from one of the swamis who had said, and I love that. It's not just who's showing you, but do they know the way and do they go the way their own self as well?
Like walk the walk and talk the talk.
Exactly. And you have to, right? Because that level of depth of wisdom, it's not something you can learn unless you've experienced it.
Absolutely.
So that then, my whole journey completely changed. I found literally, it was like my mentor came to me within a month of me even saying that. And I came across the modality of theta healing. A modality that completely changed my life around 360. And what I mean by that is my relationship with myself, my relationship with people around me, my relationship with what I do. Everything shifted, and expression of myself, reclaiming myself. And I really learned about my purpose around helping others to deeply heal, to awaken their power and intuition, and guide them into co-creating and lead a life that is authentic to them, not to others, but to them. And to lead with, rather than being in that, what we call the matrix of the fear and the separation, it was bringing them on that. It's bringing them on that path of oneness, unity, compassion, love, but feeling that freedom and that liberation within themselves. And it really guided me into the soul transformation and the womb transformation work that I now do with I say women, but I actually work with men as well.
Wow.
So that's been the whole transition. And till day, I still do this work on myself every single day.
So it's now been 5 years? Was it since 2020?
I left my NHS career 3 years ago, and it's 4 years. Literally just last week, it was the 4th year. This is my 4th year of now doing the work that I do.
And how do people find it? Because it's not, people don't really want to admit that they need help. You know, they think buying a designer handbag or going on a holiday is going to make them feel better. So when someone comes to you as a client and you can see they need help, but they're not willing to admit it, they're not prepared to see it, how do you deal with that? How do you then convince them to start working on themselves?
It's about guiding them, because what one doesn't know is what they don't know. And therefore, they need to be shown the way. They need to be guided to, okay, where are you now? How is that impacting you? And where would you like to be? And the way I always guide is, this is a journey. This is not a one-stop shop that, oh, I've done this and that's it. I'm completely like free from everything. I mean, and I always say there is nothing, no one's broken, please, you know, and that like no one needs fixing. No one's broken. So please get that in as well.
Yeah.
But this is more about unraveling. This is more about unbecoming in order to shift your identity as well. So the way I guide them is, there's a lot of compassion. And I suppose the answer to that lies in, because I've done this on myself and the depth I've gone in with myself, I can hold that space to witness that transformation in another person. But with that person, you don't just say, and a lot of the time it's the fear of, oh my God, it will be too deep. I don't know what's going to come out, so I'd rather not deal with it.
Of course. Yeah.
And that's why they want to escape with a shopping spree or a holiday. Yeah. But actually, those problems are still waiting for you, right? Yeah. So you've got the instant gratification, but those problems are still there. So it's really unpacking it for them. And it's kind of like we say, laying it out on the table, like laying out the cards to say, okay, this is what's going on with you. And how you then want to take it to the next steps, it's your, you know, that comes down to you. I'm not here to force anyone. So it's kind of, for them, it's the education, it's the awareness, and it's I call it the sacred space that I hold to guide them into. It's an invitation for them. It's not, nothing is forced. It's an invitation to say, hey, I get where you are. I understand it. And in order for you to get from here to where you are here, you have to face up to these things that are coming in the way.
Wow. Do people work with you face-to-face, online?
Yeah, so a lot of my work is done, I say it's face-to-face, but online. Okay. It's an online face-to-face sessions, but I do some in-person sessions as well. With the level of work that I do, there is, you know, because it's done on such a different dimension, you know, there is no kind of, it's not like just because there's no difference in me doing it in person like this compared to via Zoom online. Because with the level of work that we're doing, we're going deep into your subconscious. We're getting to, because it's all about shedding your belief system. What are the belief systems that are holding you back? And that, again, relates to all areas of your life. So doing this work doesn't mean it's just going to have an impact on one area. It's actually going to ripple out into every area of your life, but not just areas, even into your genetic lineage.
So that's really interesting. So tell us, like, because you do ancestral healing.
Yeah.
Like, I've only heard that probably about a year ago. So there's probably lots of people listening right now. What does that mean?
we all derive from our ancestors, right? So we just know of ourselves as being here on this earthly planet, but actually we are the future ancestors, or we are the ancestors of the future generation, right?
Yeah.
So what that means is the traumas that we have gone through or experiencing in this lifetime, we're passing it on to them because it's the connection through the womb space. For a woman, the womb is a portal to the universe. The cosmic universe lies within the womb space.
Don't they say that you have, correct me here now, but so many eggs that just keep getting passed down?
Yeah. Like you are already in your mother's womb when she was in her mother's womb.
Yeah.
So we have 7 to 11 generations worth of inherited wisdom and trauma.
Wow.
That is passed down. So what that then means is if you're experiencing certain patterns in your life and you're like, oh yeah, mum used to do this. Oh yeah, gran used to do this. That's coming. And this is why ancestral healing is where now you got to remember there was a lot of survival going on with our ancestors, a lot of immigration going on, the migration. I'm a child of migrants ancestors because yes, I'm Gujarati, grandparents, India, everything. But I was born and raised in Africa, in Kenya. And then I've moved here to the UK. So can you see all of that I've had to go through? First of all, it completely destabilizes your foundation of your safety and security because you've been moved from one place to another.
Yeah.
But what then that looks like is your anxiety heightens because the fear is there.
Yeah.
So when you're not feeling rooted and grounded, you're feeling unsafe. What is the programming that's going on around you that you constantly have to be on the lookout? That's why a lot of people are in survival. And those patterns have an emotional impact, but a physical impact as well.
So it's just things you don't think of, and everyone's like fight or flight these days. We're so busy, we're on our phones. We don't think about our ancestors or what we're going to pass down in the future. So this is what you would help with?
Yes.
What does that look like?
So what does that look like is I always say my work is very much like it's not one size fits all because everyone is unique. And I embrace that uniqueness in every single individual. And what it looks like is when we're having a session, in that session, I obviously use a very combined, unique approach, obviously. So I'm bringing in this incredible healing modality of theta healing, combined with ancient wisdom, combined with energy healing, combined with therapy. Okay. And what that looks like is actually that session is a very transformational session because it's not just you receiving. We are actively, through your subconscious, we are actively releasing and reprogramming your belief systems and your DNA.
Wow.
Which is just, and I always say to people, I'm like, this is like doing 5-dimensional work, but trying to put it in a 3-dimensional word. Like there are no words to explain. You have to, and I've always said to a lot of people, you want to really know what it feels like, you come into my space. And then once they do, they were like, yeah, we get it. There's no words for this. But the feeling and the vibration, because remember, your soul is the core essence of who you are. Your karma, your dharma, everything. But what happens is everyone's seeking everything externally.
Yeah.
Because there's walls that have been created, the barriers that have been created. So everyone knows about mental health. Everyone talks about physical health. But they really miss the essence and the power and the potency of spiritual work and soul health. Soul health is so important because remember, again, even patterns of dis-ease is passed down to you through your genetics.
God, it's a lot to take in for anyone, isn't it? And,
Yeah.
you know, I know you, and there are lots of people out there who say they do healing work. And for somebody like me, it's almost like, well, I don't know what I need. Like, how does somebody work out who they should go to? Because I'm not being funny, but there's a lot of healers now, or people who say they can do this for you, do that for you, whatever. Like the way you're explaining it, you know, it really like resonates. But how does somebody who knows nothing about all of this, but is ready to go on a journey, how do you find the right person?
That's such a good question. So a couple of things that come first of all, and I suppose this is where, and this is why it's so important for you to be connected to your own intuition. Your body will sense. Your energy sense. The mind is the last thing. People try and make logical sense. And you have to feel it that, oh, this person, yes, I feel a bit nervous, but I feel that they're the ones, they're going to help me on this journey. But also, like I said earlier, question it. How much of this work are they implementing on themselves? Because anyone can go and get a certificate.
Yeah.
And
like you said earlier, walk the talk.
you need, it's someone who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's actually very true. So, yeah, some of the people I'm thinking of now, it's like, well, are they actually doing it all?
And it's important to know that everyone is on their own unique journey. So for somebody, and I do get people who are very vulnerable and they have had, and it's not been a failed experience, but they've just received something and they don't know what to do with it. They've obviously received something in a session and they're like, oh, all this stuff has come up. Well, now what do I do with this? That's where the way I work is, I've had people say to me, like, they're like, you're like our soul's best friend because you're holding our hand side by side and walking with us on that journey. And that's exactly what I do. And that's why it's a guide. Yes, I'm a mentor. Yes, I'm a coach. Yes, all of that. But I love the potency of the word guide because I'm guiding you. I'm empowering you. I'm connecting you to your own power that's sitting within you. Why? Because you are your power.
That's so interesting.
And your connection. And this is why the soul work is so important because that is about your pure connection to source. You know, people believe in the universe. People believe in nature. Whatever that source is. For me, it's God. All of my work is done through pure consciousness, directly through God's energy. And therefore, I know that everything I put out there is done through pure intention and the pure kind of service of, I want to see other people rise. I want to see all these people that I'm working with. I'm guiding them. I'm helping them. I want to see them master their own selves.
So that's all. It all sounds really deep and they're going to go on a journey with you. But what if somebody just wanted to come and get a little taster of your world? How do they do that?
There's a couple of ways they can do that. So I facilitate sacred circles and sacred ceremonies. So those are group in person. And quite a few, quite a few people have done it that way. They've come into that space. They've been in that space for 6 months to a year. And then they've joined on that journey of one-to-one because they're like, okay, because that has built their safety in them as well. I do offer a one-off session as well, so people can come into the world to kind of like come into my space to experience. And I always say, you never receive what you're not ready for. I'm not the one who's saying, hey, God, dial this up here, or hey, God, dial it down here. Just because it's Veena, dial it up. That's not, I don't control that. I'm a vessel. I'm a pure vessel, a pure channel through which I do deliver this work. So what that looks like is you are receiving what your soul is ready for. Your mind is telling you you're not. Your ego will say, no, you don't want to go there. But your soul which is your flow, which is your higher self, is saying, this is what needs to be done. So I always say, like, yes, the depth of work is there, but doesn't mean you come into my session and boom, you're going to get that depth straight away, because healing happens in layers. There's layers. And even in those layers, there is different layers. So when people come, even for the one-off sessions to work with me, it's kind of scratching that surface. Right? They scratch that surface, you're peeling that layer. They're getting to feel, and they're like, oh, actually, my body feels safe with this. Ideally, obviously take them on a journey.
Yeah.
There's 3 months, and then 6 months is like that, true transformational journey that they go on. But the circle spaces, the sacred ceremonies and spaces I hold, and then also do day retreats as well.
Okay.
So it allows people to come into the space to experience, what is she about? What does she do?
Yeah, because I guess people will be like,
how do they
I don't
benefit from
know,
it?
What is it she does? What's going to happen when I go there?
Yeah.
So when you do day retreats, for example, does that then lead on to them normally joining you or coming to your circles?
They come into my space. And when I talk about come into my space, I have a beautiful I have a beautiful community on a WhatsApp group. They come into that space. So I'm sharing things, and, there's other people sharing things as well. And as they're there, then when I'm putting things out there, obviously it's an invitation for them. It's an invitation for them to come out and experience, the next level for them. What does that look like for them? But there's also, I do offer a 30-minute complimentary soul connection call.
Okay.
Because everyone's unique. Not one thing is going to, and I know that. And that was one biggest thing I used to struggle. Because I'm like, I've got to try and fit in that box. And if I don't, then I won't be accepted there. And I was like, no, get rid of those boxes.
I love that.
And I, also kind of share with people that when you're on this journey, doesn't mean that you stop living life. In fact, you start living your life when you go on this journey. Because as humans, we're here to evolve. The minute you stop evolving, the minute you're just in that comfort zone, you stop living life. Again, I'll always go back to the medical analogy of the heartbeat, right?
Yeah.
In order for you to be alive, your beat, that's your beat. Flatline means you're not, there's no life.
Yeah.
Life has challenges. That's inevitable. It's how you're navigating through those ebbs with the level of resilience, especially emotional resilience.
I love the way you just explained that. The heartbeat.
That's exactly what it is.
So, Chin, you have made this into a successful business.
Yes.
If somebody is thinking of starting a business like you are in now, what tips would you give them?
I definitely would say to them, make sure you're consistent with your own journey. It's important to stay in your lane because if you start fluttering between the glittery stuff out there, you're losing the essence of what you're there for. So focus on, am I focusing on what matters or what glitters? Because there's going to be time on this journey where you're like, oh my God, this just like, it feels hard because, when you're running a business like this is not your conventional business, right? And it's kind of like thinking, sometimes it's like you're sitting there thinking, how do I put this point across? Or how do I present this as a business case if I want to get some kind of funding or something? Because it's not your conventional business, right? Yeah. So I always have that faith and have that belief that you're on this journey. And as you're on this journey, remember your why. Because if you're on this journey thinking, that person is doing it amazing, they're making loads of money, and if that's your focus, then you won't be successful. Your success looks like every day, what impact am I making today? How am I changing one person's life today? That could literally be, there'll be times you'll be doing a lot of things for what I call free. And what does that free look like? I get intuitively, I get guided, you need to connect with this person. They need your support at the moment. And lo and behold, I'll message them. They're like, how did you know this is what I'm going through? That's where I am in my journey. And what that then, so that is definitely, consistency is one part on your, consistency on your journey. And then surround yourself with the right support and the right people, because this journey can get isolating at times, because you may be misunderstood. When you're standing in your truth, and when I talk about truth, I'm not talking about the ego-based truth. I'm talking about the highest truth and the absolute truth. When you're on that journey, you have to surround yourself with people who are going to be there. Whether you're going through a high or a low, be in spaces where you're not judged.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. I mean, in fact, even personally for myself, there was a huge thing around judgment. If I was to show up in my power, if I was to show this, like, I'm being a woman of depth, what's that? There was a huge thing around judgment.
Yeah.
Just prior to coming here today, I had a 90-minute session with one of my sisters. I went to a different timeline to heal that part of me.
Wow.
Because that's what I get to do. So, and that's like...
That's just giving me goosebumps.
Yeah. But it's incredible, because I'm like, isn't it incredible that I get to do this, and I get to help others to do that? And therefore you need to be in that space. It might look like you only have 2 or 3 people around you. That's fine. When you are in alignment with your why and who you are, being in your authentic self, yes, there'll be judgment. Yes, there'll be misunderstandings by people. You've got to be okay with that. So this is not about, come on, get the hustle boots on. No, because business is about the divine energy of the sacred feminine and the sacred masculine. It's intertwining them both. And be on that journey of, how am I serving? Why do I want to do this? I think it always comes back to that why.
Yeah, your why. Your why is
why
strong.
Is so important.
Your why is very strong. So Chintal, if you speak into that camera there, tell everyone how to contact you, how to work with you, next retreat maybe.
Yes. So to connect with me, I invite you to book in your 30-minute soul connection call. I usually hang out a lot on Instagram. That is my hangout place. Please find me at The Sacred Haveli on Instagram. DM me, I've got links on there for you to book your call in. I have an incredible sacred women's cacao ceremony coming up in March, and we're actually connecting with your inner child to really connect and embrace that joy that is within you. And the next day retreat is actually happening in July. Just yesterday, everything got finalized. So I will be sharing details of all of that. But honestly, come hang out with me on Instagram, because you will find a lot of information, a lot of what's coming up. I've got quite a few other events coming up as well. So yeah, and if you want to book in your call, please drop me a message, or just grab the link from my Instagram page, and I really look forward to connecting with you.
Thank you. Really interesting. And yeah, definitely worth doing the 30-minute call at least, if you just want to get to know a little bit more, because like myself, these spaces can be a little bit scary, and because we don't know what to expect, and it's easier to just go on holiday or buy that designer handbag rather than working on your soul. So honestly, contact Chintal. Like she said, hangs out on Instagram.